here to juggle. I'm not here to juggle even marshmallows. See, I made a mistake already. I'm not here to juggle. I'm here to talk about the 60s. I was born in 1958. I was born in June 1958. So I was born in the 50s. And 50s with the 50 cars. The old Flintstone cars, the boats. They were boats. And I don't know what year it was when they first enclosed the whole car so that rain and weather couldn't get in, or other people get in, and steal your line. But first it was the car when it first made a car. I don't know how many years, after 1900, that was the first production automobile. That 1900s, they were all open. It even had camo lights for the front lights. And there wasn't very many cars around, just the people inventing them. But it wasn't until 1900 when we first had the automobile, production automobile. I was born in 1958, which black and white TV was just barely around. Black and white TV. I think it started in the end of the 40s, like 1948 or something. First TV was developed, I think. But I was born in 58, so black and white was, and the what is it, rail tube? The rail tube, the big ass tube. It's got to be like this far apart so you can project the image on a screen. And it's black and white, and they were heavy. Compared to today's TV, they were heavy as hell, man. Even the small ones. But then, but first went to radio. First radio before the 1948 I think it was. And then they had radio. That was like the TV, but it was a radio without a picture. A TV without a picture, so it was radio. But then TV took over, and then it's all black and white all the time. And they're small pictures, like I think like 4x4 pictures, and in black and white. And then it got bigger. But when I was born in 1958, TV was around, and but it was black and white, and it was basically getting TV through the air through a station, nearby. And then in the 1960s, there was the hippie movement, and Woodstock. Woodstock was the same year as the moon landing, and the space race was on in the 1960s, and then we made it to the moon and put the first person. There's two people walked on the moon, I think, and Armstrong and Buzz Aldrin. And then the third person that went with him stayed up in the spacecraft that hovered the moon, or not hovered, but circled the moon. And so they walked around, got samples, and that whole thing took what was it? I think it was 2 days. 2 days total from taking off from Earth to getting to the moon, and then staying on the moon for 21 hours, and then taking off from the moon to the thing that was going around the moon, and getting there and going back to Earth was like 48 hours. So I think it was just under 2 days, and then the 1970s come, and it's kind of lagging, with but in the 1960s, everybody talked about how everybody would be able to communicate or talk to each other. The whole world would be able to talk to each other. Every person would be able to talk to each other and communicate. And another thing we talked about is flying cars. Flying cars. Well, the thing about talking to everybody and being able to communicate to everybody, we now call that the web, the internet. We call that the internet or the web, the superhighway. That's how we communicate and talk to each other. Everybody, the whole world does that on a daily basis. You know, every hour on the hour, every second on the second. Everybody's talking to each other. So that came true. The flying cars. Now that's a little bit different story. That didn't come true. It still hasn't, as of today, which is 5/27/2015. And we were talking about in the 60s how the year 2000, the year 2000, 2000 would have flying cars and we'd be able to communicate. That's two of the major topics that we talked about in the 60s. And another thing is the memory. Memory. You know how the memory is today, you know, like terabytes and stuff. And a bunch of terabytes. I don't know what it is, you know, like 100 terabytes or 1,000 terabytes or whatever it is. We always talk about, oh, you can put your whole life, you know, all your medical records, any kind of, you know, legal record, you could put on the head of a pen. You'd be able to have all that information on the size of the head of a pen. That came true, because the storage today is massive in a little area. So you could do that. You could put your whole life. You can put your whole damn life, even if you're 100 years old, your whole damn life on the head of a pen. You'd be able to read. You'd be able to read everything you did during that 100-year period. You can do that. It's just the way, you know, microfilm is like the Flintstone way to do things, you know, where it's real small and you got a thing pointing down to it, magnifies it, so you can, you know, so you got 10 pages in a little area like that. That's nothing compared to memory today, and it's nothing. If I was just junk those. But, and another thing about the communication is the cell phone. You can be outside anywhere, and also internet. You can be outside anywhere and use internet or cell phone. And they're combined too. The iPhone. Plus the camera, man, the camera's really advanced. The camera, wow. The little iPhone, little skinny iPhone, it takes 10 times better movie pictures, movie or pictures. 10 times better with that than any of them dark age cameras where you had to have a space in there and it had to be all dark. It's wow. Now you just take a picture and it's automatic electronic. Yeah, man, that's way different, man. If people died back in the 60s, come back today, they'd be wowed. They'd be wowed what's going on right now. All the memory, where you can place a lot of memory in a little area. The internet, where everybody can talk to each other. iPhones, where you can talk out anywhere in your yard or outside, going down the street in the car. You'd be talking, you know, and texting. You can text. Wow, it's a big deal. It's a really big deal. And that was the 60s. And the 70s was kind of the 70s, we all talked about that information. We didn't have that information. If you would come back, let's say, in a time machine and you were a time traveler, came to me and said to me, well, Dan, you're going to be able to put your whole life and a lot of other things on the head of a pin and be easy and accessible. I'm going, yeah, right. What kind of pot are you smoking, bud? What kind of drugs are you mixing with it? I mean, that's what the 60s did. But I wouldn't have believed it. I wouldn't have believed it, man. I would have thought this dude was, you know, he didn't really have a brain in his head. And I'd be able to communicate. And this time travel, you know, this also tells me, well, you'd be able to communicate everywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at in the car or anywhere on Earth. You'd be able to talk to anybody on Earth through a phone. Going. I would have thought, you know, wow. And you know, the cars nowadays, I mean, now, if you would have said it would be flying by 2000, then I'd be right, because that never came to pass. Because I think because it's not that important, where it is important to have communication. That's probably why the web, and it's not as dangerous either, because once you lift off the ground, now you're a pilot. You're no longer just a driver. You're a pilot. You can go, you can go like that, and go different heights. This height like that, and more chance of crashing. And if you crash, it'll be a lethal crash. You'd be dead. But that's probably why the flying car hasn't been developed, because they have a hard time with that. I mean, they're around, but very few. Some of them have, like, instead of wheels, for the 4 wheels, they'll have 4 fans that point like that and like that. You'd be able to go like this, like that, like that, like that. So you'd be able to go forward, backwards, up and down. So they have them, but they're expensive as hell, and there's very few of them. And that was back in the 60s and 70s. The 70s was a breakout of video games, Pong, Atari Pong, and before that they had the Odyssey, not the Odyssey 2, but the Odyssey. I owned the Odyssey and the Odyssey 2, but I first owned the Odyssey. It had big old cords going to these little controllers that just turn like that, and it had screen overlays, plastic screen overlays that you have a light behind it. It does certain stuff, and very little stuff. It wasn't even Pong, but it was a little bit like Pong. It didn't have no sound. There was no sound. It was totally soundless, and it just had a light in the back of that plastic screen you put on your TV, which was held there by static electricity from your TV tube. So if you tried that today, since they don't have static electricity, it wouldn't work. But I mean, if you had unless you had an older TV, rail tube TV, and that was in the 70s. That was the breakout of or the becoming of the video games. I was a big video game player and collector. Man, I had 27 video games I sold, video game systems, 27. And anyway, that was the Odyssey. It was soundless. It only had a little square light and went back and forth and up and down. That's about it. That's about what the Odyssey did. And it had these big old controllers. The Axis system was like the size of 2600 or Atari 2600, and then the Telstar with the triangle games, Telstar, and the Atari 2600. With interchangeable cartridges, like the Telstar's cartridges, except for they were just regular cartridges, they weren't triangle. So that was like the 70s. And I was all in school and stuff, and up until 1977 when I graduated, and then went to college. So the 70s I was in school. I have about 2.5 years of college of Kalamazoo Valley, and back then, their computer lab this is in college. Well, first back up. First in computer class in late 1970s, you had to have a modem that was up to the phone. The old style phone where you got a big old receiver. Put that on there, and then communicate to the mainframe, which the mainframe would take up a 10 by 20 foot area, and that thing wasn't any better than just a glorified calculator. There was no such thing as a PC, personal computer, no such thing. Or a desktop, or especially not a laptop. Shit, laptops are advanced now. Okay, that was in the 70s, and even in the 80s, still, no laptop and no computers. It wasn't until about the 90s. That cell phones became readily available, and desktops. And after the 90s, then started doing the laptops where you could be portable. And And same thing with the VHS tapes. Man, VHS tapes, they're this big, about that thick, and they're, about a pound a piece. Where now it's DVDs, just real thin, about a 1/16 of an inch thick DVD, about that big, about 5 inches across. And so there you go again with a memory. Went from CD to DVD. CDs held way less memory, and then DVDs put the cutouts or the slots a lot closer, and then closer and closer until it was till now we call it a hard drive, or a real small memory, a flash memory card. But okay, this is the 70s, and then I better stop this tape. In the 1970s, with the video games and storage of CDs and stuff, and then that was in the 80s to 90s, and so the computer started to become about in the first part of 1990. There were some around in the late 80s, but they didn't really come available. It stopped becoming like a business type of thing until the 90s, and also the cell phone evolved at that point, which like the iPhone, where it has a camera and recorder and able to access the internet, smartphone, and all this other stuff, GPS. It's remarkable the way GPS works. It's triangulated. It's triangulated location, triangulation, like 2 or 3 satellites combined to make exactly where you're at on the Earth. So you're on the Earth like this, and it's saying exactly where you're at. Like if you're up in a plane, that'd be a latitude, and if you're on the ground, it gives you that your exact place, because you can drive with it. I've done it. I do it. I drive by GPS. This voice tells me when to turn, when I'm going to turn, and then right when I'm supposed to turn. Man, without that thing, I don't know what I'd do. You'd be lost. But you can get around easily with that. Just put the address in, and it'll tell you exactly when to turn and how far you got to turn. And it's pretty cool. And some of them are even way more advanced than I have. And that thing cost me over $500. Back in the 90s, cost me about $500. That GPS. And then also, well, in the 80s, I was a big MTV fan. Music videos, rock and roll, MTV, music television. That I was, and I had music television. I had video games, the lower grade video games, which I like the lower grade video games better anyway, because it's so cool. It was remarkable what they could do. They put their dream inside a cartridge. They put their dream, and you're playing their dream. Whoever did it, like if it was one person or 2 or 3 or 20 people, got into it. Like on Super Mario Brothers, that's when they go off the screen. They go screen by screen by screen like that, screen by screen like that. Yeah, so you got a bunch of screens this way, a bunch of screens that way, a bunch of screens that way, and a bunch of screens that way. Call that Superman on Atari 2600. Superman. That's the way Superman works. It goes like, if you go, I think it was, I went through and mapped out every screen, and there's a lot of screens in that. Because I went from this screen all the way back to the screen. Because if you keep going that way, you end up back on the screen. So it's like 21 screens. It was like 21 screens, that way or that way, whichever way you went. It's like 21 screens. Then when you go up, it goes like 5 screens forward, and then it keeps going up and keeps, you don't know what screen you're on. And when you start flying and going up, it goes bam, 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 and it goes like 5 screens at a time or something like that. And And if you don't map it out, you don't know where the hell you're at on that thing. I mean, the screens look the same, so you could go by location, you know, what they look like on Superman on Atari 2600. And then to see X-ray vision, which is the next screen over without going into that screen, or the next screen up, like that, you just push the button and then use your joystick up, down, left and right. And you see what screen those are. So the reason you want to see what screen they are, see if the robbers they're going to fly into. Like here's a robber I fly into, I carry him like this and put him in jail. And I do that like, what is it, like 6 or 7 times. And there's only one screen with a jail on it, so you gotta find your way to the, you know, after you get him, you gotta find your way to the jail. And put like six characters in jail, and then you, as you're doing that, you're finding 3 pieces of the bridge, and there's one screen where you can't walk across because it's gone. There's nowhere to, you know, you gotta have a bridge across there before you're gonna walk across. So you're finding these 3 pieces of a bridge throughout these 21 screens, and you put those 3 together, they automatically assemble. Then you so what do? You go to the phone booth, and then you walk into it and change back in the first you go into the phone booth and change into Superman, and then you get so you can fly into the robbers and put them in jail. That's the only way you can do it, is fly into them and carry them and put them in jail. You just throw them over there and they'll go right in jail. And then you're building a bridge, and then after you get the bridge built, you walk across the bridge, you go to the phone booth, turn back into Clark Kent, and then you go like a couple screens over, and then the game's over. And this one guy did it in like 34 seconds. That's like a record. Get all 6 robbers in jail, build a bridge, and walk across the bridge. Go to the phone booth, changing the Clark Kent, and go to like 1 or 2 screens over, and the game ends. That's 34 seconds, man. That's pretty remarkable. That was the Atari 2600 back in the 70s. First came out, but so the 70s I was in school, video games, and then the 80s came, and I watched MTV, and I was still in school. Let's see, and I think I went until 80, whatever I turned 21, because I got Social Security until I turned 21, as long as I was in school. So, like 70, yes, 19 and 77, 78 would be 20, 79 would be 21, and 80. I went until 80, so MTV came on in the 80s. I watched that most of the time and played video games. And the 80s, okay, then, see, my mom died in 89, so then after that, the 90s, and the 90s came, and now the computers are around. Computers started becoming around, and cell phones, and then 2000, and the internet was becoming more and more better, and the way to get on the internet and faster computers. In the 90s, and then 2000, saying everything became a lot better video games, more systems, and better cell phones. And the old clunky one, that you got, and then they become smartphones. Like by the year 2000, they're perfected pretty good, and 2000 came, and we had the 911 event sponsored by our U.S. government to cover up the WorldCom scams, and I guess they had a lot of gold there. How many pieces of gold did you ever see or hear about from WorldCom? None. So they had the gold to pay for what they needed to pay for, and the WorldCom was imploded because it was never touched by anything from 911, any plane or any building. The WorldCom was never touched, but yet it imploded. So the U.S. government imploded that. Probably after they got the gold and stuff out, what they need to get out. That way it covers up all the paperwork. And so it's 2000. The government sponsored 911. They knew about it. They organized it. They organized everything about 911. That was a total shock to the United States people, but not to the government. The government knew, and they knew they were going to lose, a couple thousand people. But this was so much of a scam that it was worth it, and they got away with it. They go get Bin Laden, pin it on Bin Laden, go get him, so that made everything okay. Now we're all happy U.S. citizens. And we don't know we didn't know the government did what they did. They knocked down those 2 trade towers. I didn't even hear about the trade towers until 911. I'm going, what's this? And I wasn't even interested in it until I heard about it more. And then I'm going, wow, I was like everybody else thinking, foreigners messed us up and took, 4 or 5 hour planes, took control of 4 or 5 hour planes and crashed them into the. And I just kept watching and watching. And it was a thing of 2000, 911. I think it was 2001. I forget what year it was. 2001, I think. Whenever 911 was. That means September the 11th. September 11th. I think it was on a Monday or something like that, but see, I worked that day, I think. But anyway, that was all government done, and so then, it's what 2000s. Everything just got better, and the computers got better, the iPhones got better, the internet got better, cars got better, and 2000. Today's 2015, so we would call these 2010 era, and the economy is so screwed up, it's not funny. 2014, I lost my house, and what I did is I built a bedroom out of the living room, a bedroom out of the kitchen, and made a kitchen nook. And before that, in 1999, I built a garage and a breezeway, all without city permits. And then when I rented, I would have got away with that. But then, if I want to rent it out, the bedrooms that I made out of the kitchen and the living room, so I rented out 4 bedrooms. And I slept in one, and one of my drunk tenants, he's drunk most of the time, and he got a new girlfriend. He got rid of one girlfriend and got a new girlfriend, and then that girlfriend started a fight up with him, and he had to go to jail, and then she filed bank papers, so he couldn't come back, so he didn't like that, so he told the city that I was renting the house without a permit to do so, being certified. So then I had to have a city inspection. At the time of the city inspection, they condemned the house. Everybody had to leave. So then, because I owed like $17,000 taxes, and so they figured that ain't gonna be worth it, and I'm not gonna be able to fix it up, because I owed the city $17,000 for 7 years. So that's why I condemned it, because of the building without permits. And there ain't no way I could have fixed that up, because it would have cost me too much. Because I would have had to tear everything back down, build everything up. And they knew I didn't have the money, because I owed them $17,000. So right there, boom, your house is condemned, because no city permits, and for any of the building or the wiring. So that's what happened there. So 2014, so that brings you all the way up to date in my life. And that's why I'm in this apartment, because I got my house condemned. I owed $77,000 on a mortgage, but that didn't matter to the city, because once the city takes your house for any reason, that mortgage is automatically zeroed out. So that it's like it never existed, and never will exist. No one owns any right but the city to that house or our property. So that's where I'm at on today, 5/26/2015, at what 9:22 a.m. in the morning. You know me, I'm Dan. Same time, same channel. I hope you like my 60s, from the 60s on, 58, 60s, my life, to 2015, 5/26/2015, or I mean 5/27. I mean, it's 5/27, dum-dum, and it's 9:23 a.m. And I hope I liked my speech of the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 2000, 2010, 2015. I'm Dan, same time, same channel. See you then. Oh yeah, TVs, man, they're LCD and this thin. So laptops are that thin. iPads are that thin. I couldn't believe how thin an iPad is. Wow, all that stuff is advanced, and the amount of memory you can have advanced, the speed advanced. Everything's advancing. So I'm Dan, same time, same channel. See you then.